Let's get started right away. Number 7. The unfinished projects. Picture your desk, piled high with half-finished ideas, notebooks filled with messy sketches, and countless projects frozen midway to completion. From the outside, people might think you're the type who starts too much and finishes too little. But in reality, that graveyard of projects could be proof of a mind endlessly curious and bursting with creativity. Imagine your mind as an ongoing fireworks show. Every new idea is a brilliant burst of light, demanding attention only to be followed by another dazzling spark. The legendary inventor Nikola Tesla once had hundreds of designs and concepts left incomplete. His notebooks and diagrams were packed with visions that never reached final form, yet many of them were decades, even centuries ahead of their time. Creativity research reveals that people who launch multiple projects at once often possess exceptional divergent thinking skills. They're not failing by leaving things unfinished, they're quietly building a wealth of experience. Every incomplete project is like a piece of knowledge waiting to be slotted into a much larger puzzle. The magic happens when those who jump between projects finally find one truly worth completing. At that moment, they bring every bit of skill, insight, and hard-earned wisdom to the table, creating something groundbreaking. And that is exactly how revolutionary breakthroughs are born. Number 6. Those restless brains. Some people possess such razor-sharp intelligence that processing everyday information feels as dull as watching grass grow. Imagine being forced to sit through an ultra-slow-motion movie while everyone around you believes it's playing at normal speed. No wonder these minds often appear distracted or disinterested. Their thoughts are usually 10 steps ahead of the rest. These brains require far more stimulation than average just to stay engaged, like keeping a cheetah as a pet and expecting it to happily stroll at a turtle's pace. Neuroscientists have found that individuals with exceptionally fast-thinking minds release more dopamine when faced with new and challenging problems. That's why they're constantly on the hunt for the next intellectual puzzle to solve. To outsiders, this can sometimes be mistaken for laziness or lack of focus. It's like a Formula One driver stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic, full of energy but nowhere to unleash it. Many people in this group have been labeled difficult students or hard-to-manage employees simply because routine tasks can't hold their attention. Consider the case of mathematical genius Srinivasa Ramanujan. In school, he was often seen as hard to fit in because the classwork was far too simple for his extraordinary thinking abilities. For minds like his, the problem isn't that they're broken or unfocused, it's that they operate at a completely different pace. While most people can only see a few scattered puzzle pieces, they've already envisioned the entire picture and are ready to connect the dots in ways no one else has imagined. Number 5. Making decisions with depth. Picture walking into a buffet restaurant where the counter stretches all the way to the back of the room. Your friend grabs the first dish they see, while you're still carefully scanning each option. You're not just thinking about what tastes good. You're balancing your daily calorie intake, recalling past experiences, matching it to your schedule, considering the house specialties, even factoring in wait time and budget. This kind of meticulous analysis is often mistaken for slowness, but in reality, it's a hallmark of a mind that values quality decision-making. Think in the way that Daniel Kahneman might. While a novice focuses only on the next move, a deep thinker is running multiple branches of the entire game in their head. In the world of uncertainty, it's the mindset of Annie Duke, evaluating probabilities, risks, and consequences before making the call. Not just one, but multiple studies in decision science have shown that people who take more time to deliberate often arrive at more accurate answers when tackling complex problems. Slowing down at the input stage reduces errors at the output, especially when the context involves hidden variables and noisy information. From a neurobiological perspective, your brain is essentially revving up and burning extra energy for this depth of evaluation. Imagine a cluster of powerful computers running simulations on thousands of scenarios instead of just one. That's not hesitation, it's optimization. So the next time someone says you're indecisive, remember, you're not lacking decision. You're making it with intention. You're not overthinking, you're thinking deeply enough to make the best choice for yourself.
Number 4. Procrastinating the smart way. Scientific research shows that many of history's greatest minds were, in fact, masters of strategic procrastination. When you put off an important task, your brain isn't idle. It's processing it in the background, much like a supercomputer quietly running complex algorithms while you work on something else. Think of it like letting dough rest while baking bread. The yeast needs time to do its job, and allowing it to sit is the secret to creating a perfect loaf. Writer Mark Twain was well known for hopping between projects. He might be in the middle of a novel, set it aside to work on a speech, and then return to the manuscript with fresh perspectives that made his writing more vibrant. When you finally come back to the task you've been delaying, the solution often emerges sharper and more creative than if you had forced yourself to tackle it immediately. During that avoidance period, your brain has been quietly connecting scattered ideas in the background, piecing together a puzzle you didn't even realize was forming. The pressure you feel as the deadline draws near isn't necessarily the enemy. It's the brain's turbo mode kicking in. Studies show that mild pressure can actually boost both performance and creativity, as if your mind is saying, "It's game time." The trick is to stay productive while avoiding the main task. Instead of endlessly scrolling through social media, tackle smaller, related jobs. If you're not ready to write the entire report, you can still sort your research notes or outline key ideas. These small actions keep you in the game while your brain's background processor continues to work its magic.
Number 3. When time disappears. Losing track of time isn't necessarily a sign of absent-mindedness. It can actually be proof that your brain is operating at peak performance. Scientists call this state flow, a kind of mental superpower where you become so fully immersed in what you're doing that everything else fades into the background. Think back to the last time you were so absorbed in something that you forgot to eat or drink. Maybe you looked up and realized the sunlight outside had already shifted to the warm glow of evening. That's not distraction. That's your brain being completely captivated by a challenge, like a motorcycle racer hitting the perfect speed on the perfect track. In these moments, your brain rewards you with feel-good chemicals like dopamine and endorphins, essentially giving itself a standing ovation for your intense focus. Composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was said to experience this state often, spending hours on end composing without noticing time slip away. The fascinating thing is, you can't force flow to happen. If you keep glancing at the clock, you're already breaking it. And it's not reserved only for high-level intellectual work. You can find yourself in flow while gardening, playing an instrument, or even reorganizing a messy drawer.
Number 2. Sharpness in the art of sarcasm. Scientific research shows that delivering a clever, sarcastic remark isn't just about having a good sense of humor. It's a sign of exceptional mental strength. When you hear sarcasm, your brain must simultaneously process multiple layers of meaning, the literal words, the underlying intent, and why those two are in direct contradiction. It's like solving a puzzle where the answer is hidden in the opposite direction. For example, when someone says, "Oh, fantastic, rain again this weekend," your brain instantly realizes they're not actually pleased at all. That mental flip in just a split second is a workout for your brain, sharpening both its agility and creativity. Psychological studies reveal that each sarcastic exchange is essentially a training session for your problem-solving skills. Yet many people mistake this mental quickness for a negative attitude or rudeness. They notice the shrug or the eye roll, but overlook the fact that the brain is working like a professional Go player, calculating multiple moves ahead in a social interaction. The key is knowing when to use it. Throwing sarcasm into a job interview? Probably not the smartest move. Sarcasm is like hot chili. A little can make the dish more exciting, but too much will have everyone in tears.
Number 1. The brain of a daydreamer. People who often let their minds wander tend to score higher on intelligence and creativity tests. In reality, their brains are so powerful that a single task just isn't enough to keep them fully engaged. Think of it as a supercomputer, capable of running multiple programs at once. On the outside, you might appear still, eyes drifting into the distance. But inside, your mind is running at full throttle. This is when fragments of memories, experiences, and information start linking together to solve problems you weren't even aware you had, while also generating fresh creative ideas. This activity is tied to what neuroscientists call the default mode network in the brain, which is most active when you're daydreaming. It's like having a hidden second brain working behind the scenes, processing issues your conscious mind is too busy to address. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas often appear when you're doing something completely unrelated, like showering, walking, or peeling fruit? That's your daydreaming brain, hard at work. Studies show that daydreamers aren't truly distracted. They're simply incredibly efficient at juggling multiple streams of thought simultaneously. It's like having a mental simulator quietly running dozens of scenarios and outcomes so that when real-life situations arise, you already have a plan ready to go. That's all for today. I will make similar videos in the future. Please subscribe to watch.